Before we start on today's episode, make sure to follow, like, and subscribe. Stick around as we answer some questions from our followers. Today's video is about how we got our camp host job, how we work 2.5 days a week, how we also make over $2,500 a month, and how we live rent-free. So one of the reasons why we applied for a camp host position was that we were traveling around Vancouver Island for about 5 or 6 months, and we got kind of exhausted with traveling so much, and we wanted to kind of find somewhere to settle, relax, set up, and find somewhere that felt like home. So anyways, we were on Facebook one day and we saw on one of the schoolie pages that a couple found this gig being a camp host at a park on Vancouver Island, and we decided to message them and ask them some questions. They told us that there were some positions available at different parks on the island, and these positions did include payment and free rent, but they did not include full hookups. So that means we wouldn't have any septic, we wouldn't have any water or electricity, and the contract would be for 6 to 8 months. So that means that every time we'd fill up our tanks, we'd have to move, which would be about 3 to 4 days because our tanks aren't that big. We'd have to find somewhere to fill up water, and we would also have to rely on our solar panels for 6 to 8 months, which we weren't totally sure about, as prior to early spring, we weren't getting any sun on our solar panels, so we didn't want to rely on that. We did have a generator, but we didn't want to use that every single day. We were really excited about this opportunity, so we decided to do a bunch of research and see if we could find some cool jobs anywhere in BC that we could go to. So enough of me talking, we'll get to some of the questions that we were asked regarding how to become camp host, how does this work, what skills do you need, how much do you get paid, where can you do this. Stick around and we'll answer some of those questions.
What do our days look like? We both start at 9. I start off by opening the laundry room, opening the pool, cleaning the pool, checking all the levels. Then I head off to clean the bathrooms, and then really after that it's maintaining the pool and mowing the grass, keeping the grass up, watering the grass. That's
weed whacking. So my day, it starts at 9. He usually drops me off with the golf cart. I open up the office. I usually count the till. Usually sweep and I dust and I wipe down everything. I make sure that the candy and the chips and all the food are stocked up. Then I usually make my way outside and I water the plants, and then I usually do some weeding or picking some of the dead flowers. Pretty basic. And then I'll go check the clubhouse, which is on the other side of the office, that is mainly used for the owners. And I'll clean the bathroom, I'll vacuum, I'll wash the floor, and then after that we usually take our morning break.
Do you need your own RV to be a camp host? The answer is yes and no. Most places require you to bring your own unit, whether it's an RV, camper, trailer, or in our case a school bus, and some places may provide a cabin or accommodations depending on where you go. Most places require you to have full hookups, meaning water, septic, and power, but there are other campsites that don't offer these. So you would be dry camping while you work there, which means you would have to leave the park every so often to dump your gray tank and septic tank and also fill up with water.
So we got some questions regarding how much we make as camp hosts. So I guess it can vary, but a majority of the time, we average about $2,500 to $2,900 a month, and that's not each, that's both of us. So we only work 2.5 days a week. We make $18 an hour. We're not reliant on this job by any means, but it's just nice to be able to be somewhere, not have to worry about rent, not having to I
can't really complain. I get to go fishing in the morning before I have to go to work. I love it. I don't have too many things to complain about it, and it's enough money to pay the bills.
Yeah. And okay, so we got some questions regarding what parks pay, as some people are like, well, I know somebody that does a camp host job, but they don't get paid. Well, honestly, we don't know because we don't know everything, but from our own knowledge, provincial parks and government parks, at least in Canada, are volunteer. So you would still get a free site to camp at or live at for the season. I don't know what utilities would be included in that contract. You probably wouldn't get Wi-Fi. You would maybe get full hookups or not, depending on the campground.
Yeah, sometimes it can be like, yeah, you'll get free water and free dump, but then you'll have to pay like half your electricity bill, which can still be fair, but you definitely have to have another source of income to afford food these days, right?
Yeah, we just happened to stumble across this opportunity where they pay us $18 an hour and we don't have to pay for the site, and then Wi-Fi was also included, but we upgraded to Starlink.
Whatever they were paying for the TELUS,
yeah,
for the Wi-Fi, they
it
were
was like
willing
Wi-Fi
to cover, which was
25
awesome.
or something. Usually the campsites that pay are the private campsites, so I would suggest looking up on like Facebook, Indeed, private campsites, not provincial. What are websites did you use to look up these jobs? We used Indeed to search for jobs and used search words like camp host, caretaker, remote couple, or travel jobs. We found Indeed was super helpful. Another option for remote jobs is to check out Workaway. Workaway is a trade-off, essentially. So you work and either you get free stay and free food, or sometimes you work and you get paid for the work. One of the reasons why we love Workaway is that Workaway offers lots of opportunities everywhere around the world. So if you want to spend time in Bali or some time in India or Canada or Norway, there's usually always opportunities in all these countries, whether it's paid work or free accommodations while you're traveling. Some other websites that we use were Happy Vagabond, which is great for US and Canada. Most camp host positions require you to have experience with property maintenance and landscaping to reception/hospitality, as well as cash experience and running a small shop. Matt has a construction background and is also familiar with landscaping, machinery, and equipment, and working with his hands. Matt also has experience with plumbing and running an Airbnb. I have a lot of customer service experience, and I've also worked in the hospitality industry, and I'm used to taking reservation and phone calls and handling cash. Honestly, if you know how to cut grass and clean washrooms and are a go-getter, happy to work outside in all weather conditions, comfortable dealing with cash and answering guest inquiries, you can probably do this job. But I would also bear in mind that all parks are different, and so are the duties.
So what is a camp host?
There's already managers at this RV park, so we are essentially covering their days off. We come in and we just take over their position.
I would say it's like the basic things that need to be done in order to keep the park running and moving smoothly, right? So checking in guests on the office side, and then for me, I help them park. Make sure they're hooked up, make sure they have everything they need. Doing all the maintenance.
We're just essentially just covering their days off. That's just what a camp host is. Sometimes a camp host can be full-time gig, sometimes it's part-time, sometimes like they're looking for a camp host like couple, sometimes they're not, like sometimes they're looking for a single person, but a majority of the time they're looking for a couple that can work together. They can handle, like somebody that can handle the maintenance, somebody that can handle the office and the reservations. It's harder to apply for a camp host position if you're just a single person or like a single unit, because then they have to still find somebody to do the other job and to make sure that you work well with this other person. So the next question we got was camp hosting with your pets. So from our experience, like traveling or camp hosting with our pets would be that it's been great. It's really nice being able to like take a short break or go like on your lunch break and come home and you can check on them. We can have the cats outside, we can have Kai outside, we can make sure they have water, we can take Kaya for a walk. I think like maybe some of the issues of having pets while you're camp hosting is that some people don't like following the rules. And I mean, last year when we were here, we did not have like a temporary fence around our site. We would have her on a leash and we'd watch her like a hawk when she'd be sitting out there on the grass. But people would just walk by with their dogs off leash, or some of the renters would have their dogs off leash and their dog would come onto our site.
It would just wander onto our site.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get to the pros and cons of being a camp host. Do you want to do the pros?
Yeah, sure. Some of the pros are that we do live where we work, so there's no commute, which is pretty awesome. We only work 2.5 days, so it's a really short work week, which is nice because I love working outside. That's a great pro. It's not a huge workload either. We can have a campfire almost every night when there's not a fire ban, and I feel a lot closer to nature. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
I get to go fishing during fishing season, but every morning before work it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, we would wake up at like 5 or 6 and go fishing just on the river here, and then be back in time for our shift at 9 a.m.
We get to make lunch in the bus on our breaks, which is nice. We're just far enough away from crazy society. But what about the cons?
Okay, so some cons. So our campsite that we're working at, it's not like not all the sites are rentable. We have like 10 rentable sites, and then everybody else are like seasonal owners or seasonal renters. So that means that there's a lot of people here all the time, and that can kind of stir up some like drama and like gossip as everybody knows each other. Another one would be that being at this park may not feel like a retreat sometimes, or that we're like out in nature and we're escaping and we're having this experience because we work here, like we live here, like people come here to camp on the weekends to like get away, whereas like we're not really getting away.
And even when we're off hours, people can tend to come knock on our door wanting us to help with their issues, but that's just part of living where you work, I guess, right?
Yeah, so like there's not a lot of privacy. I mean, obviously when you work or when you live or you're staying at a campground, I mean, you're right beside the next person. Another con would be that we're pretty far away. Like we're about like 4 hours like from my family. We're about like 6 or so hours away from like Matt's mom, and the majority of our friends are down on the west coast. So we do a lot of Zoom calls. There's good sides and bad sides to it. Like we're up in the mountains, so the service is terrible. Like there's no cell service up here. We invested into Starlink, so we were able to get Wi-Fi and do our Zoom calls. The last really big con would be babysitting a bunch of adults, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, I mean, like at this park, it's been really good. Like we've had no problems. People at this park are really nice. Like they're super nice, they're super generous, they're super welcoming. But I think if you were staying at like maybe a provincial park or like a park that doesn't really have a lot of security, or I mean like if you're staying somewhere where there's lots of partiers, you have to deal with these people that are drinking or are under the influence.
Yeah, so that's our list of pros and cons. If you have any questions for us, put them in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, hit the like and subscribe for more.